I've swapped out Sydney's pouring rain. But look at this. This is Melbourne. Sunny. It is chilly, but the sun's out, warming up my yard beautifully. Good morning, ladies. Who missed their mummy? Hey? Who missed their mum? Good to see you too. Yes, I'll be able to let you out. Hey, hey. I'm so excited to be sharing this video with you. I've been waiting to make this because I knew that it'd be a dramatic difference between the previous video and now. So we are 3 weeks on from the last video that I did a heap of planting and there's been a huge jump in between in those 3 weeks, and I can't wait to show you the garden and what has happened in that time. But more so with the steps that I took previously to now, there's been a significant difference in the garden's ability to look after itself. So that is really, really important. So I've been trying to build a garden and a yard that uses less water, needs less of my attention, and is more self-sufficient. So it's more self-sustaining. And I saw proof of that. In this video, you'll see proof of that. So I'm looking forward to showing you how lush, how abundant and how generous the plants are right now. And if you can hear a lot of squawking in the background, it's my chickens really calling out to me because they have been without me for a few weeks. So I'm going to go tend to them while you watch this video and let me know what you think about the difference between last video and this video and all that's growing. Look at them. They just know. They're waiting. You're waiting, girls, aren't you? First thing I want to show you is the plants that I put inside our bathroom. Now, I wasn't sure what to expect here because I had cuttings and sweet potato slips that I had started. You can see this in another video, previous video. But these pots, I basically just watered them really well. I put a little bit of water, not much, down the bottom of the trays where I could and left them. And I left the blind open so they would get sunlight, and that was it. No heating, and they fared very well. There was one pot that was dried out, and the rest were still actually moist, believe it or not, after 3 weeks. I said a blessing over my garden before I left, and I like to bless new plants, and some people will think that's like crazy pants stuff, but I do believe that plants respond to sound, and I believe in prayer. So I have blessed some new plants that I'll show you, some tropical plants that I've had delivered, and they've been on my doorstep as I've arrived home. I have got tropicals, and I'm about to show you one. In my garden in Melbourne, you wouldn't think tropicals would grow, but it's surprising how many Melbourne gardeners have got certain things growing, like dragon fruit. And I'll just show you this one near the chook pen. It's not dragon fruit. I'll just whip you around. This is, I think, the third winter this plant has gone through. Now this is a babaco. It, as far as I understand, it's part of the pawpaw mango family, or semi-tropical. And here it is in what we call cold to temperate. I'm borderline temperate, I think, not exactly cold climate here. It gets cold, it gets below freezing, but I have a lot of temperate advantages in my garden too. So I'm calling my garden, I would say, probably cold into temperate, probably closer to the temperate. Anyhow, this is the third season. Now this thing looks disgusting when winter comes. It loses its leaves, it dies right back, but it still has fruit, and the fruit hang on to that plant. Although last year the fruit was plentiful but smaller, and it dropped most of it. So the plant could not handle sustaining the fruit over that cold time before it grew its leaves back. Now, as we know, leaves are needed for the plant to photosynthesize. It literally feeds the plant down into the roots. Very important. And you'll see behind here, we've got no leaves left on this, but it was very late losing its leaves because I threw this. Is not a frost cloth. It's just a piece of bird netting that I just randomly threw over. It blew off in the winds a couple of times, but I threw it over just as a temporary measure because I didn't get to it. And I don't actually bother with frost cloth a lot. I'm a lazy gardener in that respect. Before we talk about this, I'll flip you around. So I try to grow things that, the chooks are so happy to see me. If they survive, they survive. If they don't, they don't. And if they have to endure a little bit, hopefully those plants are hardy, and then they're going to have hardy offspring as well. So hardy cuttings, hardy seeds. So that's what I'm doing. I'm climatizing what I've got here to my garden, and I'm relying on the stuff that's going to look after itself, because we just don't know if we have access to water all the time. We just don't know all those things. So that's what I'm trying to do, create a garden that looks after itself as best as possible, plants that are as hardy, resilient as possible, and that produces the best. So with this babaco, this time round, it produced much bigger fruit. The bigger ones, there's still small ones on it, because it wasn't until I think February. We're in, what are we in? Or just into August now. And it wasn't until February, I think, until we took the fruit off last time. Now, last time the fruit were about this size when we took it off, and they were yellowing. So this time, months earlier, I've got this size, and you'll see this one down here, and I'm scared to touch it in case it does fall off. That's much, much bigger. It's quite large. So there is a huge one hanging off there, and I have, as far as I know, not had too much dropping off. I can see a fruit all the way down, let's stick in there, but that could have been a mouse or something that snipped that off, because that's very green. But they just fall off. So there's one of the last leaves. They just fall off if it's too much for them, and they hang on to the fruit because the plant wants to grow seeds to reproduce. So they hang on to some of the fruit and let some of it go. But like I said, we haven't lost, that's the first sign I've seen of any fruit drop. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting to see how it survives. And like I said, it actually endured a few frosts before I even covered it with that. So I'm testing that. And then next time I'll try and remember to actually put the frost cloth on it and see what happens, and see if that, you know, it actually hangs on to its leaves. Hit it really hard to see if it'll survive at all. It's kept growing. It grows actually quite tall each time, each season, and it can grow meters high. So it's one of those things that's going to grow up above the chook pen. Yeah, I've got a resilient plant now. That's what I've been doing, apart from being just too lazy to put frost cloth on or clip it onto it. So yeah, that's my babaco. How lush is my Y bed? It is booming. Booming, booming. I'll be harvesting today. Look at that. Look at all of that. In fact, it's probably a bit overcrowded, but my goodness, look at that. To think only a few months ago, this wasn't even here. I was so excited to see the broccoli, like the heads on the broccoli, fully developed. I had caught them just in time. I think they'd started to loosen up and would be going to flower shortly. Probably a couple of weeks would be the longest these would last. So started eating them straight away. And there was one small head that I cut before I left, and it had little sprouts growing around it. That's this one. It had really taken off, and it had about a dozen nice size sprouts on it, so it's behaving like a sprouting broccoli. I bought this as a punnet of broccoli from Bunnings, but one is behaving like a sprouting broccoli, so best of both worlds. I don't normally buy seedlings, I usually grow from seeds. So over here we've got everything thickening up. So I've got some lettuce mixed in with celery and some garlic in there. And over the back, the primulas are flowering. I've got them in a few spots in amongst the garden. And the peas have gone nuts. They're full of flowers, lots of flowers on there. No pods, I can't see any pods as yet, but lots of flowers. And they are desperately trying to seek something to grow on. I did not get to put supports in for them before I left. I was going to just put string from the roof of the cage down, and I just didn't get to it, so that's a job I need to do. I came out last night and I did find some slugs. The holes are from slugs, I would say. So I was killing with some little evidence down there. There's something pooing, but they still look okay. The centres look okay. They've started to attack the outside leaves by the looks, so I might clear a few of them off. So we've got some yellowing leaves happening down there. I don't know if you can see it down there. And look here, this is probably the worst one. This has copped it here. So I'm going to have to be vigilant now that I'm back in the garden. And I'm really surprised with the kale though. The kale's usually the first to really be attacked, but I suppose it's mostly aphids. And they're looking really untouched. They look really good. So it's funny, things can be different in different seasons even. And my lettuce, my neighbours were picking, and my house sitter was able to pick, I think, a little lettuce, and they're all still looking good, like I haven't let them go too long. That was good, to come home and not find they've bolted or anything. The bulbs are up. This is the jonquils. The little baby Tuscan kale is doing mighty fine here. The little salad seedling, that has probably, tripled in size. And of course, Those dead sticks are meant to be dead because they're my dahlias. I did have a little bit of spotting on the ranunculi leaves on some of them. I don't think that's the normal colouring. I haven't grown them before, but it looked like a little bit of a drain on the nutrients right in that spot. But the rest of the garden I couldn't see any. And strangely enough, there's plants that earlier on were looking very... There was one particular plant, and I'll show you a bit further in. It was looking really quite unwell, and I thought it wasn't going to survive. Very yellowed compared to the others in the row. It was, I don't know why, but it actually came back. It looked fantastic. It was fine. It was really strange. So I haven't grown the Chinese broccolis and cabbages before, so I'm not sure when to pick it. If you know the answer, I would love to hear the answer. I think you're meant to cut them, or the stem at least, just before the flowers, I think, or they can become bitter. I don't know. I cut them anyhow because I thought I'd better try it, but I haven't cooked them as yet. I'm yet to see what they taste like. I don't like bitter vegetables, really. I will eat endive, fresh endive, but that's about it. So we'll see if I grow them again. More jonquils over here. The lobelia is looking happy and starting to flower and bulk up. Oh, I love that sound. And my yellow golden beets, very strong down there, even though these are very thickly sowed. They're all looking pretty happy. I was cutting them for leaves earlier before I went to keep them a little bit thinner, and the lettuce looks fine in there too. The pots are looking happier than before. Look at that, they look happy now. There's a little bit of leaves here that look yellow, but calendula looks mighty happy in there. Everything looks happy actually. The kale's looking good. The little leeks that we put in are looking bigger in that time. The transplanted garlic chives look great, but stevia still looks dead. I think we have lost that. What else we got in here? Now that plant was the yellowing plant. But these plants, this one I think was the one that was really looking sick, and that looks fine. And what may have happened here is the carrot has grown up, it's taken off, and it's probably sheltered it from the frost, so it's all mixed into there. So sometimes overcrowding works well. You just got to watch it and see what you have to thin out when. So there's some old leaves that need to be pulled, but everything is looking so green and lush and beautiful and tall and filled out and happy. I think those little amendments I did a few videos back have settled in now, and all the plants are responding to it. It has been pretty dry, and I didn't water much, but it's been enough. Very hard to do things virtually from a distance and know if your garden's happy. That's the kohlrabi at the back. Look, that's kohlrabi, that's the red one. And that's starting to bulb up at the bottom. So that's good. I've got two growing together by the looks there. There's a few weeds snuck in, but not many because there's not much room for them. But those kohlrabies all the way to the end, little ones smaller on the very end, but the rest of them, and they're all looking healthy, just different sizes. Most of them about the same. The carrots are very happy. I could use these tops for a pesto, which I might try, and could thin some of them out by doing that and let some more sun into the others. The spinach is looking good. This may have been picked, but it's looking good. The leaves, I don't think the leaves got as big as I thought they would when we were away. Now this is the surprise. I thought this was going to be a waste of time. The broad beans. Now if you've been following along, we had issues with these broad beans and I wasn't sure if it was disease or the soil. So I've done a couple of adjustments and these ones look happy. They look happy. I haven't been able to protect them from the aphids while I'm away. But whatever I've done previous to going away seems to be enough. We may have ladybirds in the garden now. I haven't seen any. But there's a lot more than ladybirds that attack aphids. So I think I kept the population down enough that it hasn't affected these too much. And these plants look like they're responding. You'll see at the back, these are still curly, like the younger, and they're smaller. So they're not as happy. I don't know if we've got more. Let's look for aphids. I can't see any. So these aren't as happy, but the kind of the ones here in the middle, looks like it was a good call not to pull them out. Because these look very healthy. Look at that. There's no real curling on these leaves. I think it's all the soil. It's all in the soil, people. It's just all about the soil. The red cabbage looks happy. The snowball cauliflower looks happy. I don't know if I'll get cauliflower. Or if I do, it's going to take a long time to get the heads, but they're in there. I've had them come late before, so all this is looking fantastic. I'm very, very happy with this garden bed and how it's responded and how well it has been growing in what has been a 3 weeks absence. Yes, it's irrigated, but I actually only turn the irrigation on once. There was enough mulch, there was enough growth into planting, and probably my timing. And there was enough rain early in that trip to satisfy those plants. How beautiful. My goodness, this time last year I had next to nothing. But this year, there's a whole other story. We have flowers now. Winter flowers. All the leaves have gone from the figs, but I don't know if that's new growth. I need to start thinking about my grafting. I've got some grafting to do for figs, not on this one, but that's garlic, that's a weed, and the strawberries, where they're protected, they're actually looking really green. The frost has done some damage to the ones that are out and exposed. But over here, this is a weed coming through the fence actually. It was a fairly mature rosemary. They're transplanted. It's not liked being transplanted. There's still green on the top. There's still hope, but it's not looking overly happy in there. The cuttings are trying to flower. Always looks like a lavender, doesn't it? It's not, it's rosemary, but the flowers look so much like a lavender. I'll have to check that for roots now. It's probably well and truly time for that. In fact, if I pick it up, will I see anything? Not sure if that's a root. No, don't think so. Probably can stay there a bit longer. And the plants I just threw in a bucket, healed in, and hoped for the best while I was away, including the rhubarb, are looking great. The rhubarb's actually very happy. That's mostly under the soil. I've got some yacons just sitting on the top there. They're still alive, and the clematis are still happy too. And over on the potting bench, yeah, we've had some bug damage, but everything's looking pretty good too. I have everything I transplanted is still alive. Everything that was always dead, that was not going to come back, but I just left it there just in case. What have we got at the back here? A couple of cuttings earlier. The hibiscus, the crimson hibiscus that I took a few months back. I did cuttings. I was slow to do the cuttings and I had them in water too long. They did not survive. We've got potatoes growing on the bench here. They're trying to grow. They don't even care if they're not in soil, potatoes. The anemones were freshly planted, so I didn't expect to see any growth yet, but I think that could be. Hang on, let me see if I can get it on. Yeah, see there? I think that's one of them popping up. Oh, yes, it is. Look. Oh no, that's nasturtiums. Yeah, that's nasturtiums. But everything else, including the hollyhock that had scale, I definitely got rid of that. That was effective. No more scale on them. I'm happy about that. And the beautiful, look at these. Look at these hyacinths. I'll look at them when I just adjust the light. Look at this. Aren't they gorgeous? Pity they flop over, but yeah. They were meant to be Mother's Day gift. They didn't flower in time, and then I thought, well, might be good for birthday, and they're a bit too early for my mum's birthday. So spring onions are happy. Asparagus continues to grow, looking a little bit yellow in places. All of these seedlings, nothing's touched them under there. They're looking fine. We have got a lot of plants here that can go into the garden. A few yellowing leaves on the black Tuscan, but that's old leaves, that's to be expected. We'll take them off later, but they're happy. Nothing has devoured them, although I had a crack at that one. Look at that. We've had a bit of a nibbles there. The bok choy, I think, at the back, wombok, that's all okay. Everything's okay. Look, everything's great. I'm a happy girl. Look, my chives. My chives have like sprouted too. My plants know spring's around the corner. We've got about, I don't know, 3 weeks till spring starts. That's a kohlrabi at the back. The only thing I can't see is right there, that scarlet runner I transplanted. Does not look happy. It doesn't mean it's dead. The roots still might be fine. I put some seeds in there that haven't come up yet. There's garlic at the back that hasn't come up. The choco's growing. Yeah. This is looking very good. It wasn't watered by hand or irrigated. Just relied on a little bit of early rain. Big dry spell in between. But they're all happy plants. Grow bag's looking good. We've got signs of the thornless gooseberry got leaves there. The corn salad has bulked up, become really nice and lush. Now what was that? Purple, what was that? Was it purple collie? Yep, purple collie. They've got much larger. The potatoes we put in there, taken off. Pretty much everything's taken off. What else we got? In the potting area, I have a video on the propagating the mulberry. I showed you the big mulberry it's propagated from. These have lost a lot of their leaves. This one, come on, focus. This one has got yellowing leaves on it, and where it's kind of sheltered a bit more, it's not. But they will lose all their leaves before they sprout, and this one's starting to sprout. So they are looking good too. Now down here, we've got the mints returning and the raspberries. So we've got some raspberries in here. We've got my chocolate mint, which I love my chocolate mint. I have a video on how I use chocolate mint with coffee. That I've been patiently waiting for that. I'm going to really attend to that, so I get lots of that. And the cannas are looking good with some of them sprouting. You see, some of them are growing here and here. New life in there. The yukon, this one at the back there, looks pretty good. This one's got new growth down the bottom. And the native hibiscus cuttings from the video before, no, 2 videos ago, they're looking just as green as I put them in. What have we got? Cyclamens, which I've had forever in that pot. And we've got our first flowers on, let me take you around. Pansy mix. Pansy mix. They're flowering. What do we got there? I think that's elephant garlic in there, and sprouting in here too, along with weeds. We've got weeds in here, but you can see in there, there's one there. Might be the only one at the moment. Oh no, there's another one there. So they're starting to pop up. I lost the lettuce that I planted in here, but then I put the corn salad in here. That's happier. bed area, and this is where I threw a heap of seeds that have struggled. As you can see, it's in the shade for most of the time, and they have struggled. However, some have grown. I think they're poppies. I think that looks like baby poppies. Anybody? That, and that kind of almost silvery green leaves. There are some other different little seedlings in there I can see coming through, but it's mainly all one variety that has survived, one or two. And the most advanced is these. And beside it is the New Zealand spinach, which could be harvested now. The leaves are definitely could be harvested. What have I got under there? Hang on, what's that? Is that thrip? I don't know what that is. So this could be propagated, harvested. It's actually growing along that, and kind of, I think it's trying to root into the bark. I thought I had lost that, and I had a piece that had come back a few months ago when I was in here weeding, and that is all that's all come from that one plant. So it's sprawling along the ground like a creeper, like a ground cover, and there's some potatoes growing through it here. So because we have potatoes in here that I tried to remove, and as we know, they don't, you can never get them all. Some weeds, but that's healthy. I'm glad I've still got that. And directly behind it is the beautiful tulips that we planted. So they have all popped up. And look at that one, that's splintering off into 3 there. 2 at the back. I think I planted 3. I planted 3 or 4. I think it was 3. But they are happy enough. At the back is the area I still haven't weeded, but look at that. I've got those naturalising up the back, little violets, so that's pretty cool. I can't remember planting them, but I probably did. And over underneath the rose, which the rose is still alive, I'm really waiting for that to cover the arch because that will be magnificent. But we've got the oregano that has been transplanted from the alley into there, and that has probably 5 times the size now. The canna is still okay there. It's got more light now, so hopefully it'll grow better. There, you can't see here, this needs to be weeded, but there's yacon underneath the soil there that dies back in winter. And our rhubarb is now settled. So you can really tell once you move rhubarb, once it kind of kicks in and settles in a place, then all of a sudden it takes off. And the leaves get really large, the stems thicken up, and that's what's happening here. So that rhubarb will be very happy here now. The yarrow has spread all around the base of the avocado, which I don't know if it's still alive. It's not looking great, but yeah, that's spread there. The beautiful hydrangea at the back. A couple of weeds in amongst that, but that is the most magnificent hydrangea, but it's dormant at the moment. And I do believe I've probably lost that currant at the back. So not a lot has been lost in here. Most of it has been grown, even though all of this area was competing against weeds for quite a while. This section has been weeded and mulched, but I've just didn't get to the rest of it. I mean, for probably the 4th time, that horrible couch grass. Another job on my list is to cut back the grapes. They need to be cut back, and I'm going to have a go at grafting onto a couple of them. Different one varieties I've got, grafting it onto these varieties. because I think once they get going, I'll have less grapes for a while, but grapes I prefer. And we've got some spring flowers. The hyacinths are flowering. They're flowering around in a pot around on my potting bench. They're breaking through the soil here. Can we see? Come on. See in there? All the bulbs. They're coming up and, ooh, look at that. It was hiding behind the water. I had these in to water them while I'm away. That flower might be finished. Hang on, let me zoom in. That was a deep red colour. Look at that. How good's that colour? How did the hothouse go? Got watered once in 2 weeks. I'll come home to slightly wilted capsicum that is still alive. The ants are still having a crack at it, but there's fruit on it. It looks like I've got another capsicum in there. I didn't realise I had in there. Look at that, I've got a different variety I didn't realise I had. That's not looking that happy. Look at that, aphids having a good, they're probably inside that. But everything else in here, including my cassava is still alive. The curry tree is yellow, but it's fine. I think it's meant to be yellow right now anyhow. What's in there? There's another capsicum in there. I've forgotten what's in that pot. There's a tree in the middle. I can't think what that was. And my ginger. Ginger's still happy. That's empty now. But one of these tends to last about 2 weeks in a pot, I've found, which is a great saver if you've got to walk away from some pots for a little while or you're just busy.
In the side garden, the camellias had started to flower and there was a lot of other bulbs coming up. So in the little pot that I had, the yellow and purple combination of the hyacinths and the daffodils was really beautiful. Behind that wasn't flowering, but my daphne had new growth, so I'm excited for that plant to grow bigger. The strawberries were showing new growth too. I have a lot of wild strawberries around the grounds in this area, but they're regular strawberries just saw. And this is variegated dwarf alstemira, which has a beautiful white flower. In amongst lots of my bulbs, I had oxalis growing. I weeded it twice before I went away. It is a very persistent weed, very difficult to get rid of. You pull up the top, the bulb just stays underneath, and it's very hard to get to it. So it's a problem that I have to kind of deal with and just keep mulching and hoping for the best. But yeah, I'm protecting this sage in a cage. Did you like my little poem there, Sage in a Cage? I sound like Dr. Zeus. So that is being protected in a cage temporarily so it doesn't get walked on. It's very close to the path and the weeds would disguise it right now. This area is under development over this month and it's going to be absolutely amazing when I finish it, but it's well underway. So the grow bags looked fine too, and these had no irrigation as well. The blueberries that had been potted up were happy. This blueberry is a different variety that has leaves at different times, but it looks like it's budding. This is the plants. My new plants arrived on the doorstep and I had to deal with them pretty much straight away. So I ordered a yellow dragon fruit and, would you believe it, ice cream bean tree. I'm hoping to be able to grow it here. I did make one major error with this plant though. I thought because it's a tropical plant it would appreciate being moved from here into my hothouse where I've got the other dragon fruit and my ginger and so forth in there, and they're quite happy. but it was too big a shock. This tree was very happy until I came back the next morning after putting it in there, and its leaves had all dried up. I quickly pulled it out, gave it a big water, and put it back outside. I was quite surprised. So I should have really just gone with outside instead of putting it in there. I was a little bit worried and nervous for the dragon fruit too, because I thought, oh, well, it could be the same. Maybe it's not used to being somewhere warm after all, and that might not be okay in there. So I've kept an eye on it, and so far so good. But these two plants will need to be potted up pretty quickly. But I was really happy with them. I was really impressed actually. So I have put a visual of the company that I bought it from. They have come down from interstate to Melbourne. They were packed really well. The delivery was very quick, and the plants were very beautiful, large, healthy plants, and I thought they were a really great buy for what I paid for them. So yeah, I appreciate that. To the company that sent these, I have no affiliation, but I was impressed. So well done, and thank you for my beautiful plants. Ross Creek Tropicals. There we go. More plants for food for the garden.
So my camera gear is on its way home. It's following me home. So I'm sorry about the movement in this video. I've got my mic and my phone, my old phone. So I don't have a new phone. So I'm still working on an iPhone 8. But I really want to show you the first day back and show you what's growing, and before I pick stuff too. Now check out the banana passion fruit. Now I know this gets attacked by possums and stuff, so they eat quite a lot off this, but there's still stacks. Have a look at this. And to be honest with you, there was a lot more last night before I came out, but there's still this plant now can grow more than the wildlife can currently take. So we've got so much fruit on this. It's just all here, like a lovely canopy of, look at this. Isn't it amazing how much one little plant can eventually produce? So guys, even if you don't like the taste of everything, with the climate the way it is, you can still grow and eat food. You've got a backyard or a space to grow anywhere, you can still grow something. And I come home to find these tomato plants had finally finished. They had to eventually finish. So taking note, this is when they finally wrap it up. There's little green tomatoes hanging off them, but that's about it. The bulbs struggled. These are flowering bulbs for beauty, not food. They have struggled in that soil, but they are popping up. And the walking Egyptian onions are fine along that edge, where probably they're touching more of my garden native soil, or soil that's being built up from the weeds and compost than anything else. So that's the mulberry I left in the garden, is budding up. And over here near the compost bin, we've got the beetroot thriving, the walking Egyptians thriving, even though pretty shaded area, but looks like they don't mind it. Calendula at the back, and this tomato seedling that grew on its own that just wasn't affected by winter. It's gonna produce earlier than anything, its family at least. Okay, and over here, flowering bulbs that I hope will flower under the shade of a tree. And look at that. Seems like they will. See that? That's a flower. and the hyacinths are going to flower. Now that was an experiment. They are very shaded here, and yet looks like a good spot for bulbs. Glad I did that. Now over here is my next big harvest. This looks like it's almost died back. This is ochre, which I cannot wait. They're so delicious. Can't wait to dig those up. So I've got quite a few patches of that along here to dig up. The yacon could be dug up. But that is garlic growing through there. What else have I got? That suspiciously looks like I planted. Not sure if that's spinach or not. This, my choco is finally finished, I think. It's still up in the tree, but we've still got some green here. But it's dying back. The frost getting to it. And we've got radishes still self-sowing happily in here. And strawberries that are transplanted, some of them have kicked off and survived. Do I have, there it is, that's a walking stick kale that it's self-sowed down under near my bananas, and I moved it up. In an earlier video you'll see I moved that up and it was a little tiny baby. I mean, I'm talking tiny seedling, but it has both of them. There's two in there. They've both survived. There you go. There's an anemone popping up there. First time for them here, and lots of weeds to deal with. The pepino is flowering here. I need to do some staking. There is comfrey under that, but they seem to kind of flower fruit, finish quickly and then flower again. They don't have much of a gap between wanting to flower again, so that is a good thing. But I need to stake them and kind of treat them like tomatoes, where you clear off the bottom foliage, stake them up and let the fruit come up higher. So pretty. It's like a velvet, these ones. They're just so gorgeous. Okay, well I had to show you that, and when my camera gets back I will definitely overlay some better footage so you can get a clearer look at those things. But look at that sun. It's so beautiful to be in the garden, and it's so nice. I love being in the garden. So I hope you enjoyed that little walk around. My girls are just patiently waiting for me to put their exterior fencing out so that they can come out further than the pen. They've got plenty of room in there. They are well looked after, but they do miss their roaming time, and they are looking very healthy over that break. I'm really pleased to come home and see they are fully feathered after molting and looking scraggly over the winter. But they're looking really good. One's still looking a bit quiet. That could be just the pecking order. But I did have a lash egg a few weeks ago, so that could be that chicken. I couldn't tell who was who. But yeah, thanks for walking around the garden with me today and enjoying what I enjoy and seeing the lushness. And this is a one-person gardening thing, and my husband built beds for me and stuff, but I am putting all these plants in and harvesting them and looking after them and everything. And I just want to show you that you can do a lot, surprisingly a lot, if you just do a little bit at a time. But it's really important to enjoy the process. You know, there's been time I've thrown all the spaghetti at the wall and then sort of kind of got overwhelmed and regretted it. But this time I've kind of paced myself and thought I'll plant what I can. I'll just try and be more consistent. I'll just try and just weed a little bit more consistently, or plant seeds a little bit more consistently, or take cuttings more consistently. The irrigation has been a game changer though. I would highly recommend, if you can afford irrigation, to do that. I wish I had done that earlier. I think it would have saved a lot of loss of plants and stress when I had to be away from my garden at any one time, particularly in the summer. So, you know, even a few days in the summer, if you can't get to the water, it's a bit disappointing when you go back and go, oh, I should have done that. So, but apart from that, just little bits of adding compost or building compost, or, you know, chop and drop, or, you know, putting seeds in. My friends, I'm looking at my garden going, oh, so it makes me so happy. So I hope it blessed you too. Be encouraged, and just, yeah, if you can't have something like this, I'm grateful that you're enjoying this with me. Bye for now.